What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new video here. So we had a major interview between Mehdi Hasan on his new independent media platform, Zateo, and he interviewed a Trump advisor very high up in his camp, you could say. He originally interviewed him a few months ago on Al Jazeera, and initially it was very combative. And he came back. Adolfo Franco is this guy's name, a high advisor in the Trump camp, you can say. And hey, gotta give him credit. At least he came back for the interview because obviously Mehdi Hasan is a very combative interviewer. So let's just talk about it. And I thought he got absolutely destroyed. And to be fair to him, I mean, it's not easy when you're being combated with a lot of the stuff Mehdi's throwing at you. It's really indefensible, the hypocrisy on some of the things that goes on in the Trump orbit. So the first thing they were talking about was January 6th of 2024, for example, which you guys might not even know about that because it was relatively uneventful. Nothing happened. There was no sort of liberal insurrection. There was no sort of protest at the Capitol. It was done pretty quickly. Kamala did her job and certified the election for Donald Trump, as everyone knew she would. Very different than 4 years ago in 2020. So Mehdi Hasan asked Adolfo Franco, basically saying, why was there no sort of liberal insurrection? And because technically the Trump's argument was in 2020, guys, was that, hey, it's up to the vice president. The vice president has the power to give it to the states if it was close or any sort of irregularity, which is, of course, absurd and ridiculous. But that's what the argument was. That's what the argument was. So obviously being asked by Mehdi Hasan, can you do this? He was kind of put into a corner here. He said no, because everybody knows that there was no fraud. It was completely fair. Trump obviously won. And it was basically a landslide. It wasn't close enough. Everyone knew Trump was the winner, which isn't true at all. Joe Biden won by just about the same amount of electoral votes as Donald Trump did this time. And Joe Biden won by a substantial more amount in the popular vote margin. So that is a ridiculous argument. He just got completely destroyed on that front. And again, it's obviously what the answer is. There's different standards for Republicans and then as opposed to Democrats. It is completely different. He claimed the election wasn't close. So obviously Biden is not going to, or excuse me, Kamala is not going to throw it away to the states because it wasn't close enough. But obviously it doesn't hold up with the argument the Republicans were making in 2020. Especially because, guys, they were claiming fraud before the election as well, which is, of course, what Mehdi Hasan was bringing up. They claimed voter fraud before the election. They claimed the vice president had the power to do this, which it obviously was not true. When they asked J.D. Vance in debates, for example, he claimed that, the vice president has the authority. Kamala Harris didn't do that because that's obviously not what the rules are. And it's just because Republicans lost the election and they wanted to do some sort of authoritarian move to maintain power. Which is why there were charges brought against him, by the way, which of course is never going to be brought because he's the president now. Merrick Garland took way too long to bring criminal charges against Donald Trump. So again, he said, and we're going to show you the clip right now of this exact exchange, which I thought Mehdi Hasan just absolutely dog-walked Adolfo Franco here. So here's the clip, guys, and we're going to talk about it.
Vice President Kamala Harris on Monday had said that she had heard there was massive cheating from Adolfo Franco and Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, and she rejected the Trump state of electors from Pennsylvania. Would you have been okay with that? Would you have supported her power to do that? And maybe declare herself president on Monday? You would have supported that.
I'll tell you the answer to that is two things. Democrats have done that in 2020.
That's not what I asked. They've never done that. Al Gore lost in 2000. Many would say he won, but handed over power without an insurrection.
It's not his to handle.
Kamala Harris, according to Donald Trump's theory, the vice president gets to decide. So could Kamala Harris on Monday have declared herself president on the basis of massive cheating in Pennsylvania?
She could have declared herself anything.
You would have supported that?
I wouldn't have, because I don't think the margins were close enough to justify a contestant.
But that's not what Donald Trump said at the time. Adolfo, you can't go about margins.
In 2000, and 2004, and 2016, Democratic members of Congress contested the result of the elections when Republicans won.
They didn't try and overturn the election result, nor did the candidate. Hillary Clinton did not, Al Gore did not.
I am talking about members of Congress who actually vote for certification. And they're not the candidates.
So let me ask, I'm asking about the VP only.
Okay, guys, so first of all, obviously, the comparison of 2016 and 2012 of Democrats doing their objections for votes, that is not even close to the same thing what Donald Trump and the Republicans did in 2020. There's no serious attempt to actually obstruct or prevent the inauguration of Donald Trump in 2016, for example, or in this year in 2024. There was no obstruction whatsoever in terms of actually looking to prevent their inauguration as president. What we saw in 2020 was totally different. Donald Trump and a lot of his allies were literally trying to prevent the presidency of Joe Biden. They literally tried to maintain power and cause a subsequent insurrection at the Capitol building and look through a number of ways, very sketchy legal means, which, by the way, many of the people looking into this have been charged and indicted because it was illegal for. But John Eastman, for example, a lot of these people have been indicted because the ways they were trying to change the election was illegal. Trump literally tried to maintain power. That is completely different than what Hillary Clinton did. Yeah, it is true. Hillary Clinton would complain after the election, saying it was ridiculous or Russian interference, complaining. She never actually tried to stay in power, though, or seize the presidency, which is what Trump did. It's not even close to the same thing. And honestly, any person, I think most of these people trying to make that point, it's completely dishonest. They know it's not even close to the same thing. They didn't call supporters of the Capitol building and to prevent the vote. It's not even close. It's ridiculous. It's dishonest. But are you guys really surprised? Because I'm not. And again, one of the main things, and basically what Franco also said was, hey, if it was close, she could have actually said, let's give it to the states, which is, of course, again, ridiculous. And one very telling stat, which Mehdi brings up, guys, and it's really all you need to know, 21% of Trump supporters in the year 2020 believe the election was fair and secure. Very low number, even though there was really no evidence of any significant voter fraud. In the year 2024, guys, 95%. So they just fix it. They fixed everything in 4 years. Or their guy won, so they don't really care. And maybe in 2020, they didn't care about the rules. They just wanted their guy to take power. That's what it seems to me. I'm not sure about you. Let me know in the comments what you think. What else could the possible reason be? But that's what it seems to me. So I don't know about that. And guys, by the way, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. And Amazon links are also in the description. So it helps the channel out immensely of Amazon products I use. So thank you guys so much for that. And again, the consistency, it doesn't make any sense. The election in 2016 was close between Hillary Clinton and Trump. It was an immensely close election, far closer than this one right here. So could Joe Biden in 2016 as president, could he have done the same thing? Of course, they would have been livid. They would have said it's some corrupt act. This is insane. Democrats using power. But again, it's not about that. It's about staying in power. Clearly, that's what it's about. It's all you guys got to know. It's really all you got. There's no consistency that Franco was trying to make in his point, and a broader level, the Trump supporters or the Trump officials in general. And again, Hillary Clinton did not contest the race. He did not contest the race. It's ridiculous. So that's what I got for you on the entire election thing. I think Mehdi Hasan completely dog-walked Adolfo Franco in this. And then we get to the next section, which I'll show you the clip in a minute, guys, where basically Mehdi Hasan grills Adolfo Franco on Trump not draining the swamp, even though he said countless times, yeah, he's going to drain the swamp. How does he drain the swamp? By appointing a bunch of his billionaire lobbyist friends. That doesn't seem like draining the swamp to me. Here's this clip, guys, discussing it. Here we go.
Campaign. Trump branded himself as the person who would, quote, drain the swamp in D.C., who would get rid of White House and government corruption, hilariously. This past election cycle, he even said, quote, you have to stop listening to lobbyists. And yet, since being elected, Trump has tapped a number of long-time lobbyists and put them in key positions in the White House, his cabinet, his administration. Rather than draining the swamp, he is filling it with alligators, is he not? And completely betraying his working-class base in the process.
No, he's appointing loyalists, and that's the big difference. What people are in the past, when he came in 2016, I remember when he came in vividly in 2017, is he was dependent, and because he was new to Washington, D.C., on the establishment class. That's what he's referring to, a lobbyist. There are people that are lobbyists and so forth that are complete loyalists that he did not bring in 2016. So people who he has now become acquainted with over the last 8 years, or has even prior to that.
So it doesn't matter if they're lobbyists if he likes them?
I don't think he likes them. They're loyal to his agenda.
But that's not what he said to the country. He said our country has seen the sickness and corruption of the Washington swamp. So
well,
why put swamp monsters in your cabinet?
But they're not necessarily, everybody that's a lobbyist is not necessarily a swamp a person.
Again, guys, you can't make an argument that you're draining the swamp of so-called elitists and globalists, which is what Trump and many of his people argue. You can't make that argument when you're appointing billionaires left and right all over the cabinet. Pam Bondi, as Mehdi says, guys, Pam Bondi, a lobbyist. His chief of staff, Susie Wiles, lobbied for Chinese companies, guys. Could you imagine if Joe Biden's chief of staff was a lobbyist for Chinese companies? People would freak out, but they don't care because it's their guy doing it. Again, the hypocrisy is just staggering. It's staggering. It really is. And again, appointing people like Elon Musk to Doge, big donors, who, by the way, Doge, where Elon Musk can look at, you don't think he's going to eliminate conflicts of interest for his companies for so-called discretionary spending? Of course he's going to do that. It's corruption. It's open corruption because he's a donor for his campaign, and that's really all you got to know. And Franco basically makes the argument, oh no, he's appointing loyalists. It's not corruption. Wait, isn't corruption you're appointing people to your administration because they're your friends? That's literally what corruption is. But he seemingly doesn't understand this, Franco. So again, it's just ridiculous to me. And the thing is, guys, Trump in 2016, his argument as a populist was, I don't listen to lobbyists. I don't care what the lobbyists say. All these special interests and donors, they're controlled by their special interests. So talking about Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and it was extremely effective. That's the reason why he was able to take power in the first place. But now he's become the swamp. What, guys, isn't all of these big donors, Elon Musk, basically bought himself a position at the table because he gave him $250 million. That's pretty clear. He's dictating policy. We talked about the immigration bill that he got killed. It's pretty obvious what's going on there. So again, it's just totally ridiculous. And by the way, the Susie Wiles point, I think it's different. I mean, I think if you're a chief of staff, you're not actually dictating policy. You're basically the head person of the president. I don't think it's a problem per se that she was a Chinese lobbyist. I'm just saying, if it was the other way around, it would be Armageddon. Fox News would be 24/7 nonstop coverage of, Chinese lobbyist, Joe Biden chief of staff. You know it, and I know it. It's the hypocrisy that's immense. Again, it's ridiculous. And Mehdi brings up the point, too, where the banning of TikTok. Donald Trump was super against TikTok. He has a meeting with the TikTok CEO. Oh, maybe get some money. Oh, all of a sudden, Trump is against the TikTok man. That is as corrupt as it gets. It's a blatant corruption, guys. It's blatant corruption. How do you even argue against that? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to me. And again, I just... And Mehdi also brings up how a bunch of these guys have changed their opinions of Trump once they're given a position of power. For example, look at J.D. Vance, guys. He called him Hitler. Robert F. Kennedy called him Hitler. I mean, it's all you got to know, guys. It's all a power grab for a lot of these people, I think. And sure, there's probably some of them who've had an actual change of heart. But a lot of it, I think, is just corruption. Adolfo Franco, guys. And again, maybe a lot of these people, they've changed their policy positions, and that's why they agree with Trump now and not 4 years ago. But I don't know. I don't know. And again, we're going to talk about right now the U.S. natives or the terror attack in New Orleans, guys. Mehdi Hasan, I think he destroys him, grilling him how Trump originally put out a false statement about how the attacker was an illegal immigrant, but he actually was a native-born citizen. So Mehdi grills him on this, and here's the clip, guys. Here we go.
Flag allegedly into a crowd full of people celebrating New Year's. A horrific incident is now being investigated as an act of terrorism. Donald Trump, the president-elect, immediately took to social media and blamed the attack on Biden's, quote, open borders policy. He wrote, and I quote, "When I said that criminals coming in are far worse than criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true." No, it didn't. That's not true. That's a lie. The driver was a U.S. native born and raised in Beaumont, Texas. Trump lied, Adolfo, in order to demonize immigrants like you and me.
Let me tell you something. No, he's not talking about you and me. He's talking about people who pose a threat to the country. What had been reported initially, which I know Fox News retracted after 7 minutes, had been that the truck and some of these assets had come in from Mexico. So the president, I think, responded to that. The broader point...
He responded falsely.
No, he responded with the fragmented information that was made available by the press at that time.
That's not what he said. He made a very definitive statement. That's not how a president or a leader behaves.
But let me
at a sensitive time. To make inflammatory...
And the FBI initially, leaders, including the President Biden, said it wasn't a terrorist attack initially. Are they acting?
He lied about it being immigrant. Has he apologized for that?
No, but...
Has he corrected the record?
Yes, he corrected the record when he's spoken about the broader point.
He immediately lies and makes it about immigration.
No, it's not a lie.
It was an American born and raised.
It does not. It is American born and raised.
So you got it wrong.
It is terrorist inspired by ISIS. There's no question about that.
That's what he said,
but again,
again, it's impossible to, if that's what I'm saying. Adolfo Franco is in a tough spot. How do you combat that? Trump obviously put out a statement that he should not have put out, basically claiming, hey, okay, this person was from Mexico. He came across the border. And it is true it was falsely reported by Fox News, which, again, it's insane. If it was the other way around and it was a mainstream, NBC posted this, for example, it would still be a news story on the right wing. They would talk about it nonstop 24/7. But it's Fox News, so the right wing, they don't care. Again, it was reported initially that the person was an illegal immigrant, but they were native born. They were from the United States. It's all you got to know. And he deliberately did this to inflame tensions for a political purpose in the immediate aftermath, and it turned out to be false. Obviously, the president-elect should not be putting out statements like this. It's extremely inflammatory, and it was untrue. And he didn't even correct himself after the fact, which is, of course, ridiculous. And again, Franco tries to combat this by saying the broader point remains valid. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's not what you said. It's ridiculous. And again, Franco, and then he originally brings up after the fact too, he brings up Elon Musk, Mehdi Hasan, asking him, hey, why did Trump change his position? It goes back to the corruption aspect, guys. Why did Trump change his position on the H-1B visas only after maybe getting some money from Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are major donors to Trump? And Trump said, again, it's a lie, guys. Trump said in 2016 he was super against the H-1B visas. It was terrible. It was killing the American workers. Okay, that's what he said. Guess what, guys? In 2024, they asked him after the Elon Musk Civil War thing on X over the H-1B visas, entire position changed. No, I always love the H-1B visas. It's amazing. That is a lie, guys. And it's obviously, to me, they give him money. His donors give him money, and he changes his position. It's very, very obvious. And then, Franco says, oh, you're taking him out of context. And again, the way they try and they spin everything Trump says, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. He lied about it. He obviously got money from his donors. How do you even combat that? Explain to me in the comments if you disagree. How do you disagree with anything I just said? He gets money and he changes his position. It's very, very obvious. And again, basically they're saying Mehdi brings up very inflammatory language, obviously. Hey, Elon Musk is the shadow president. How do you respond to this? And of course they say it's ridiculous. They're just trying to inflame tensions between Musk and Trump, is what Franco says. But again, he's literally calling for the fall of the English government. He's calling for major bills to be killed in Congress. He has immense influence on a social media platform. Isn't this an oligarchic system? And this is what they said. This is what the question he puts to Franco. And he says, no, he's a loyalist. They're totally in line, Trump and Musk. I don't buy it. I've given my position on that. You can see the videos in the description where I talk about that. Again, it's tough. It's tough. And he brings up Soros, of course, which is what the Republicans do. They compare Elon Musk to Soros. Now the Democrats don't care. First of all, I'm not sure. I don't think George Soros should have the influence that he does. But to compare that to Elon Musk, who's basically dictating policy publicly and calling for the fall of governments, this is not what George Soros is doing. It's a ridiculous comparison and a false equivalency once again. And it's just, I think the main thing I'm seeing here is the hypocrisy of the right wing in many of these cases. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments in the description. I think it's ridiculous. That's what I got for you today, guys. Very interesting interview between Adolfo Franco and Mehdi Hasan. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure to like and subscribe. Super good for the algorithm, and Amazon links of products I use in the description. If you buy it, I get a commission. Helps the channel out a lot. So that's what I got for you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.